Hi, in this video I'm going to show you how to use the Gems on Curve tool that comes with the jewelry kit that I make for Rhino. Before you use the Gems on Curve tool, you need to have a curve object somewhere in the Rhino document. That can be an open curve like a straight line, a curvy curve, a polyline, or a closed curve like a circle, an oval, an octagon, or this cushion shape. While you can use sharp curves like this polyline and octagon, smoother curves and straight lines will probably give better results. To open the Gems on Curve window, click on its icon right here. I should probably note here that I'm using version 3.84 of the kit. So if you have an earlier version, please upgrade to the latest version right now before finishing this video. Remember, updates are free, even if you have the paid version. The first thing we need to do is click on the Set Curve button. And if we look up here in the command line, it says Select Curve. Gems will start at the point where you click. So we need to click on the curve at the point where we want the gems to start. I'm going to click here. As you can see, the gems now appear on the curve, and the starting gem is slightly darker than the rest of the gems. You might also notice that the gems flow away from the end that is closest to the starting gem. If we click on Set Gem again, and this time click over here, you'll notice that the gems now flow away from that end of the curve. And so it's a general principle that the gems will flow away from the end that is closest to the starting gem. How gems flow works the same way on closed curves. Here is a closed curve, and this point is where the closed curve's two ends meet, the start and the beginning. So on the left here we have one end of the curve, and on the right we have the other end of the curve. And if we click here, you can see that the gems will start here and flow away from this end. But then if we click over here when we set the curve, you'll see that the gems flow in this direction, because the gems always flow away from the end that is closest to the starting gem. Now this also applies if we select somewhere near the midpoint. So if we click on Set Curve and then click this point here, you can see that the gems flow away from the end that is closest to the starting gem. Now we'll look at the start position sliders right here. First we'll set the curve. Then we can drag the start position slider to adjust the position of the gems on the curve. We can use the fine-tune start slider to make very small adjustments to the position of the gems. Now we'll look at the three flip checkboxes in this section right here. Use the Flip Gems checkbox to flip the gems over. If the gems are upside down for some reason, use this checkbox to make them right side up. Use the Flip Direction checkbox to change the direction that the gems flow. Finally, we'll look at the Flip Curves checkbox, which helps the gems move in the same direction generally as the start position slider. So it's a completely optional feature, but you can use it if you want to. When setting the curve, if we click near the right end of the curve, the gems will move in a way that matches the movement of the start position slider. However, if we click near the left end of the curve, they will move in the opposite direction of the slider. If you want to fix this, you can click on the Flip Curve checkbox, and that will cause them to move in the same direction as the slider. However, this also will flip the direction of the gems, so you will probably want to click Flip Direction as well, so that they will be in the direction that you wanted. And it's important to note that if you set the curve and click toward the right side of the curve, that it already matches the movement of the slider. So then if you activate the Flip Curve feature, it will then go in the opposite direction. So you probably don't want to use it in that case. It's a little bit confusing, and I wish I could do it a different way, and perhaps in the future I can come up with something better than this, But for now, that's the way it is. So we'll go ahead and turn these two settings off. And now we'll look at these settings. And because these settings can change based on the mode, we'll also look at the modes. There are three modes: basic, tapered, and list. The free version of the kit only has the basic option. To get the tapered and list options, you'll have to get the pro version of the kit. In basic mode, all of the gems are the same size, and their size is controlled with the gem size slider here. There's also gem count, gap, and the vertical adjustment. In tapered mode, the gems taper from a start size to an end size, and you can control those two sizes independently. The end size doesn't have to be smaller than the start size. The gems in between, their sizes will automatically taper. In the list mode, you have a list of gem sizes, and you type those in separated by commas. So here I'm typing in 1.5, comma, 1.8, comma, 1.3, etc. You can put a space after the comma or not. You still have the gap and vertical adjustment settings there. We'll switch back to basic. Now we'll go over the prong guides. To display the prong guides, you simply need to activate them. The prong guides will allow you to consider the prongs while positioning the gems. You can also change the size of the prongs and the overlap factor. And we'll just take a look at them in perspective view as well. Now back to top view. And we'll turn them off again. Now let's look at the alignment setting. You can align by either the girdles or the tables, and this is more dramatic in the taper gems. You can also turn the sizes on and off. So if you don't want to see them, you can deactivate those as well. Okay, that just leaves two more items to go over: center gems and set surface. We'll go over center gems next. When setting a curve, knowing that I'm going to use the center gems option, I usually click near the center of the curve. You don't have to do that, but that's what I usually do. The reason is because once we activate center gems, the start gem becomes the center gem. And typically you want that near the center of the curve. Not always, but typically. Now you can put it precisely in the center of the curve by setting the start position to exactly 0.5, which is what you'll often want to do. Center gems also works with the tapered mode and with the list mode. In tapered mode, the gem start size is the size of the center gem, and the gem end size is going to be the size of the two end gems. Now we'll look at a common use case for the center gems feature. We'll start off by creating a sizing circle. It can be any size, but in this example, I'm going to make it a US size 7. The important thing is that the seam is at the bottom. Next, we'll add a ring shape to the sizing circle, and I'll just use the default settings. Because we put the curve seam of the sizing circle at the bottom, that means that the curve seam of the ring shape is also at the bottom, which means that the midpoint is at the top. Now we'll click on the Gems on Curve tool, and we'll set the ring shape as the curve. I'll click near the midpoint. You can see that the gems are upside down, so we'll click on Flip Gems to turn them upside up. We'll activate Center Gems, and I'll put it exactly at the midpoint by typing 0.5 into the start position text box. We'll vertically adjust the gems up just a bit. We can adjust the size. I'll set it at 2.2 for now. And then we can adjust the gem count. Whenever the gem count is even, there will be 2 start gems on either side of the center point, which you're seeing here. When it's odd, there will be a single gem at the center point. That's only when you are using the center gems feature. And we'll just do tapered for, just to see how that works. And I'll go back to basic. And we'll set it to 7 for the gem count and the size to 2.5. And when you're happy with the result, you can click on Finalize, and they'll become actual gems in the Rhino document. So now we'll do one more example to kind of tie everything together and also to demonstrate how Set Surface works. So we'll click on the Gems on Curve tool, and then we'll set the curve. And you'll notice that the gems are not aligned to the ring. So we'll click on the Set Surface button and then click on the ring. And now you'll see that the gems are aligned to the ring. The Set Surface button will accept surfaces, poly surfaces, meshes, and sub-D objects. The gems are a little big, so I will adjust the size with the slider. I think 1.25s will do good, so I'll type that in directly. It'll help if we use the prong guides. That'll help us with positioning the gems. I'll make the prongs overlap a little less because these are pretty small gems, and I'll shrink the prong size down until it fits the ring better. So it looks like 0.65 for the prong size, and we'll give it a little bit of vertical adjustment. It'll be difficult to use the start position slider, so we'll nudge it with the fine-tune start into a good position. And once we're happy with the gems, we can go ahead and click on Finalize. We can add real prongs to the gems later with the multi-gem prong tool, but that will be something we'll do in a different video. We can also use rotate with copy to put these over on the other side. All right, and so that is how the Gems on Curve tool works.